Thank you for joining us here on the programme. The UK Parliament has debated whether US President Donald Trump should make a state visit to the UK. It sparked heated exchanges between lawmakers.
He's the least popular American president in this country, ever.
For those who find it difficult to understand that the American people voted for Donald Trump, get over it, because he's President of the United States.
The theme that has been put forward by Trump is that lies are the truth, that good is bad, that war is peace.
We may not like some of the things that he says, and I certainly don't like some of the things that he said in the past, but I do respect the fact that he stood on a platform which he is now delivering. He is going to go down in history as being roundly condemned for being the only politician to deliver on his promises.
I want to remind the Chamber that there are many African Americans in America sitting at home in fear.
And when we stand up in this country and then condemn him for being racist, and I've seen no evidence of that, I have seen no evidence of him being racist, or that they attack him in an unseemly way, we're actually attacking the American people, the 61 million people who voted for Donald Trump.
Well, MPs were discussing two petitions regarding Trump's visit planned for this summer. One against the trip, signed by approximately 1.8 million people online. The other petition supporting a visit, only about 300,000 signatures on that side of the fence. And on the streets outside Parliament, people gathered to voice their opinions on Trump. RT's Harry Fear reports on what quickly grew into a protest.
Well, a very colourful scene here behind me. Here now, speeches on the platform there, and probably a couple of thousand here in Parliament Square, filling it, and indeed more pouring in every minute. And organisers hope that thousands, even tens of thousands, will be taking part in this National Day of Action. The protest is called Defend Migrants, Stop Trump, and it's part of this campaign to stand up to hatred, racism and division. And of course there are some super creative posters here. I love migrants there, lit up with LEDs, no to racism, no to Trump. But behind all of this, though, is Trump's tone on Britain, which has been remarkably sort of pro-Britain. He's been talking up the special relationship and Britain's future with Brexit too.
A free and independent Britain is a blessing to the world, and our relationship has never been stronger.
Well, across the political spectrum, many have been riled up, of course, over Trump. But for some, it's not a question of whether there should be a Trump state visit to Britain or not, but rather when it should happen. And some calling out May and the government's decision to invite Trump here so soon in his presidency as being unprecedented and the most troublesome.
In fact, only two US presidents have previously been invited on full state visits to the UK before, with JAUH, of course, hosted by the Queen. Those would be George W. Bush and Barack Obama. And despite all the opposition, Trump still received his full state invitation when UK Prime Minister Theresa May visited Washington last month. It came after a much shorter time in office than his predecessors, in fact, very soon after his inauguration. And we've been hearing some contrasting thoughts on Donald Trump's planned visit from political activists in the UK.
Donald Trump represents a very, very dangerous turn in American politics, and I think it's incumbent upon all of us across the world, but especially those who feel they have a special relationship with the US, to make a really important statement to the world and say, this is not a man whose politics we formally welcome into this country, and certainly not, you know, lay out the red carpet and have him to the palace and all this stuff that will give him the legitimacy that he desperately craves.
Why people have this presumptive attitude towards Trump is beyond me. I can't think of when any broadcasters come on and said Donald Trump has murdered anybody or Donald Trump has stolen anything from anybody, yet he's a racist, he's a murderer, he's going to turn the world upside down, and we don't know the guy. All we know is the simple fact is that this guy is a businessman, and for once the world's greatest power. America is being led by a proper man.
To say we don't know this man is foolish. We've heard everything he said on the campaign trail for a start. He's been very, very public in his very nasty and divisive views for a long time. There are very, very serious issues that are being played out in actual policy, and this is not about some speculation as to what kind of guy we might think he is. We have a lot to go on already, and what presidents and leaders do in the first bit of their term of office often dictates what is going to happen afterwards, and that's when it's most important to stand up against them.
London Mayor Sadiq Khan said the UK has every right to call out America for its alleged wrongs due to this special relationship. Do you agree that we can do that? Do you think that's right?
Sadiq Khan is within his rights to say whatever he wants to say, but the simple fact is Sadiq Khan, along with all the other pansies, know and understand that they have an agenda. Problem we have now are people like George and the liberal lefties all making these murderous accusations against a real man, a real president. We're not used to being led by real men. We're used to being led by chickens.
The reason Donald Trump has come to power is by manipulating sort of personal politics, essentially. He's made it about sort of manliness and bravado and confidence and all these things that have nothing to do with the actually very, very dangerous policy.
And the hysteria against Trump gets wound up even more. Just a moment on amped-up protests against the US president that happened to actually take place on the national holiday of President's Day.